Um, with that, we do want to introduce Osama El-Lissy, our Deputy Administrator for the United States Department of Agriculture. And I will go ahead and share my screen for you, Osama. I do have your presentation ready to go.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Jay, and good afternoon, good morning, everyone. And thank you for hosting the meeting. And you will see my presentation kind of follow what Julie was talking about, which is a good thing. That means that we have consistency. And I wanted to begin by thanking you all for, the states, National Plan Board, our colleagues at the U.S. Customs Border Protection, industry, as well as members of NAPO for working together. And I'm going to share some information with you that is kind of the result of our collective work. And so again, I want to thank everyone for your help and support and continuing to work in spite of the unprecedented pandemic situation. We stayed in business, we stayed connected, and we've been able to do a lot of really good work over the last 12 months. Let's go to the next slide, please, Jay. So what I wanted to do is to kind of provide a snapshot of some of the information relative to our mission, collective mission of safeguarding American agriculture and facilitating safe trade. So, and again, I wanted to emphasize that information provided here, it is the result of our work collectively. So for instance, you see on the left-hand side of the screen here, we intercepted 56,000 pests. This is mostly the work carried out by Customer Border Protection and with PPQ support, but 56,000 pests were intercepted in 1 year. And then also in terms of pre-clearance, our PPQ pre-clearance program pre-cleared almost 5 billion pounds of fresh fruit and vegetables and 1 billion of plants and bulbs, making sure from 23 countries, by the way, making sure that those products, when they come to the US, would not put the US at phytosanitary risks. Also, our plant inspection station inspected and cleared 1.8 billion plant units and almost 800 tons of seeds to make sure that we don't have pest problems. Julie talked about several emergencies. One of the emergencies that is really important is, and thanks to everyone involved, eradicating Rostonia. This is an issue that we dealt with last year. We also eradicated several pests over the last 12, several outbreaks of pests over the last 12 months or so, and I'll share with you a little bit more information about that. Next slide, please. So again, back to our mission, safeguarding agriculture, facilitating safe trade. This too reflects our collective efforts. So together, last year, we issued 650,000 phytosanitary certificates in support of $112.5 billion worth of agriculture products exported to 51 countries, or more than that, more than 51 countries. And last year alone, we've negotiated an additional $1 billion worth of new market access as part of the US-China Phase 1 trade agreement. So all in all, and by the way, this the $112 billion worth of trade, that goes in support of generating about 1 million jobs in the US economy. Go ahead, please. So now, talking about budget a little bit, Congress sees the benefit and the value of the work that we do together. And so even though there's concerns and and physical constraints, but suffice it to say, Congress provided us with an additional $2 million in support of the cotton pest programs, specifically boll weevil eradication. Um, the field crop line item was reduced by 3 million, but also the specialty crop line item was increased by 3.4 million. Most importantly, you see this number right there, $635 million. This is, if it wasn't for this supplemental appropriation provided by Congress, we don't know what the AQR program, what the future of the AQR program would have been. The $635 million were provided because, frankly, the user fees collected because of the impact of the pandemic was down to almost, down by 90+%. So we didn't have enough money to operate the program. This is we being Customer Border Protection and APHIS. So we are very grateful that Congress provided the $635 million of supplemental appropriation support to the AQR program. Next, please. So this is a snapshot as to where we are with appropriation for the next fiscal year. You see the first column here is the FY, the fiscal year 2021 final appropriation. And basically, we received between the various line items, we received $363 million. This is the appropriated funds, which represents about close to 45% of all our revenues in support of our operation in APHIS plant protection quarantine. The president's budget is showing a little bit increase, about $18 million, so 5%. The House markup right now is even a little bit more, increase 6.9%. So this is where we are, and of course the next step is that the Senate will have to weigh in, and then if the numbers are Senate's number are different from those House markup, then they go through conference, and then ultimately that will lead to appropriation. Hopefully, be able to reach appropriation before the end of this fiscal year, or by October 1 this year. Next slide, please. So next, what I'd like to do is to give you an update on what we call organizational alignment. Not significant change, but alignment. So there, you see Matt Royer, who used to be the Associate Deputy Administrator for Field Ops. Matt now is the Associate Deputy Administrator for PPQ. As you may recall, Alan Dowdy, Alan Dowdy retired earlier at the end of last year. So Matt was kind enough to agree to be the Associate Deputy Administrator. Matt also oversees all the business and employee service. This is money, this is human resources, agreements, and the like, facilities. So the business unit of PPQ, Matt provides the executive leadership for that. Now, next, what you see there is basically consistency. You have all the rest of my colleagues in the PPQ management team also have Associate Deputy Administrator title, each for representing their respective core function areas. So we used to have 3 core function areas. Now we have here 5 core function areas. We add the business and employee service, then 6 core function areas. So you all know Sam Simon, who is now the Associate Deputy Administrator for Emergency and Domestic Program. You all know Field Ops, Carlos Martinez. Nothing has changed in Field Ops. Carlos is the Associate Deputy Administrator and assisted by an Executive Director that is currently, Calvin Schuler is acting that position. Now, next, the International Phytosanitary Management and Standard Programs, and Ibrahim Shakir is the Associate Deputy Administrator. We had 2 units. One was the Phytosanitary Issue Management led by Andres Zimau, and the other one was international um, standards that led by John Greifer. So as part of our goal to bring about more effectiveness, more coordination and efficiencies, in fact, and also expanding on additional opportunities, we combined the two units together, and Ibrahim Shakir, who used to be the Associate Deputy Administrator over BRS, was kind enough to come to PPQ and provide executive leadership to this newly established core function area. You all know Matt Rhodes, Associate Deputy Administrator for Past Exclusion and Imports Program, basically safeguarding agriculture. So all the imports requirements, regulations, and the like in the pre-clearance program, all that is done under Matt Rhodes' leadership. And then lastly, science and technology. Wendy Jen is the Associate Deputy Administrator for all science and technology work that, that supports PPQ operation across the board. Next. So now I'm going to just very quickly go through some of the things that we encountered together last year. And I'm not going to dwell on that because I think Julie did a really good job covering some of this. But the first one is that raw Estonia. Last year, in the midst of the pandemic, that we encountered this raw Estonia. And of course, that was kind of unfortunate. But I think what came out of that is that our system is solid. Being that is, working together, states, PPQ, and all our partners, we've been able to work in 44 states, 650 nursery establishments, and been able to destroy or remove about 620,000 infested plant units. We were able to eradicate Estonia, and the industry, of course, was a big support, and we appreciate that. But that's one of the really, our collective success last year is to respond quickly and then also be able to eradicate it quickly. In the meantime, stop the potential incursion from some of the facilities that we thought may have caused the problem to begin with, and instituted the appropriate safeguarding measures so this problem would not occur again in the future. Next. Then the other emergency that Julie mentioned as well is that unsolicited seeds, with thousands of these packages going throughout the country. And of course, we were concerned about that. What's the underpinning cause for this? Who's causing this? What kind of seeds? What kind of pathogens those seeds packages are carrying? Well, and thanks to everyone again, all 50 states participated and worked with us and CPP and beyond. And so we've been able to ascertain that there's no nefarious activities associated with this issue. We worked with China and other countries to start looking into investigating this issue and stop, additional shipment of seeds. They have and continue to do their best in trying to stop future activities, but we also worked with the e-commerce platforms, and as a result of that, and thanks to them, they recognized the potential importance of e-commerce as a pathway for invasive pests. They have adopted policies based on our encouragement to prohibit the importation of propagative materials, including seeds from anywhere in the world into the United States. So hopefully we've addressed this from at the strategic level. We're going to have to follow up with some operational activities just to make sure that this is happening and we don't encounter this problem in the future. Next, Jay. Most recently, we've been dealing with the box tree moth, and I wanted to again thank Canada for coordinating with us and providing the information in the timely fashion that we requested. I thank all the states also working and going out there and in the industry. We've been able to complete the response successfully and been able to really get hold of all the locations where some of the plant materials may have been shipped. And we've been able to either remove or verify freedom from the past of thousands of the plant's units. And so I think all in all, the outcome was very positive. Now we're working with New York State Department of Agriculture, as well as with Canada, CFIA, because now we're finding few adults who were detected along the border in New York, and we need to figure out what's the best way to manage this pest and hopefully prevent its expansion elsewhere in New York or beyond. Next. Another emergency, we have a program in place dealing with the Asian longhorn beetle in a number of states, and I think we're making really good progress. Except, of course, in May 2020, we confirmed the detection of Asian longhorn beetle in South Carolina. And of course, based on all the information that's been gathered, and it looks like this infestation has been there for a while, which brings other questions about, are we missing anything else out there? So this is something that we need to work on together. But I want to take this opportunity and I want to thank the South Carolina team. You've done a really good job in carrying out rapid response, delimiting survey, and eradication. And I see a significant number of the infested trees have already been removed. So I think we're moving in the right direction in eradicating Asian longhorn beetle in South Carolina. Next. So the other issue is that the male brown rugose virus. This is an issue that we've been dealing with as well. And we've instituted some policies to verify that shipments coming from countries that are known to have the virus are, do not carry the disease into the United States. And of course, anytime we adopt these kind of policies, we cause some concerns with our trading partners, and we don't want to impose unnecessary restrictions on anyone. But also, and thanks to everyone, we carried out a national survey and determined that this virus is not known to be prevalent in the United States. In fact, we found a handful of sites, very limited detection in California, in Arizona, in Florida, a couple of other places. But thanks to you all being able to go out there and eradicate those sites by removing all the hosts in mostly tomatoes. And so, so far, we show that this disease is not present, it's not prevalent in the United States. Next. Grasshopper this year has been active in terms of some of the domestic program activities. And this year we've treated, we've kind of about 805,000 acres out in Western states. Montana has the lion's share of the acreage, about 670,000 acres, but also we treated in Wyoming, Oregon, Nevada, Arizona, and Idaho. And so we treated about 800,000, but also protecting about 2 million acres. And so I think the program is doing quite well and being very effective in mitigating the potential impact of grasshopper out in the Western states. Next. AIB, I think, as Julie, you mentioned, I think we're doing really well. I think the biological control program continues to excel. We have reared and released about 585,000 parasitic wasps, and this past year alone, 2020, and that put us to about 8 million cumulatively to date. And so this is, we've been released last year, 142 counties in 25 states. And we see a lot of return on investment and see some of the cash resources are coming back as a result of controlling AIV. So again, thanks for all the good work there. Next. I think we're making some progress in Hawaii dealing with the rhinoceros beetle program and incorporating the canine for detection as well as chemical insecticide treatments. But we are keenly interested in containing, suppressing, and hopefully eradicating this pest and try to help Hawaii, but also the rest of the country as well. Next. Giant African snail has done a fantastic job dealing with this complex pest, and very soon here you're going to probably hear about the clear eradication of the giant African land scale from Florida, and that goes to again a lot of coordination, a lot of good work that Florida and PPQ have carried out over the last several years. Next. Well, we're making excellent progress. I think we are very close to completing eradication. This year alone, we have reduced the population by close to 80%, or not more, compared to last year. So making really good progress, working with Mexico across the border. Also there, we are reducing the population significantly. So we hope to complete the eradication of boll weevil within the next few years. As you may recall, we're dealing with the last 2% or maybe 1% of the cotton belt where we eradicate boll weevil. The rest of almost 99% of 17 million acres has already completed eradication successfully. Next. Fruit fly, I think California, Texas, Florida, and continue to really good work dealing with the fruit fly, eradicated 8 of the 9 outbreaks we had last year. And so I think this program is quite successful. And we're dealing with the European chair fruit fly and try and develop a systems approach designed to not eradicate, but to provide maximum management and avoid economic impact of this pest on cherries and other host crops. Next. So in the next few slides, I want to touch a little bit on few strategic objectives that PPQ started working on based on, as you know, we have the new administration now, and we have some strategic priorities. And so one of which is alternatives to methylbromide. And there, we're starting to really map roads and team and working with Wendy Jin and others to put team together to figure out, identifying the various tools that could be used to effectively mitigate some of the invasive pests that we are concerned about, that methylbromide has been very effective in controlling, but replace it with other alternative materials. And I think we're making good progress between radiation, hot treatment, cold treatment, and now there's other even compounds that way more friendly environment that could be utilized in controlling the various pests of concern. Our science and technology team under Wendy Jin, they are being very innovative in coming up with pretty cool tools that can help us deal with many of the pests of concern. Next. I mentioned e-commerce. I think we continue to work with e-commerce, not only to deal with the seed packages issues, but also other products. And we think this is important partnership that we have with e-commerce platforms. And so one of the strategic objectives is to make e-commerce more familiar with our regulations, our requirements, so they help us enforce those regulations, if you will, and avoid potential unintentional introduction of pests through e-commerce. So I look forward to continuing with the e-commerce platforms on this particular objective. Next. Trade is another strategic objective by the administration, and the idea there is that they want fair trade. They want us to expand export of agricultural products globally, and so I think we have our team in PIM and across PPQ that are working in a very coordinated way to see to it that we are expanding market access, addressing any phytosanitary concerns, in addressing any trade issues that are hindering our ability to export products throughout the world. So you're going to hear more about that. And I think we're already making some progress in certain countries that we did not really work extensively before, like Paraguay. I think we're working there. Cuba, I think we're making very good progress in some, sweet potatoes and things like that. Working with several Asian countries as well. Next. So Joy mentioned the Ramorum. This is one of the areas that obviously we're working on this together. We're concerned, frankly. There's something not quite right. And Sam Simon and team really looking into that, and they're having independent team reviewing the program. I think many of you may have received calls, been surveyed and interviewed, but we wanted to know what's going on. There's something not quite right. We know it, but we don't know exactly what it is. And so our commitment to everyone is that under the leadership of Sam Simon is to find out those vulnerabilities and seek your cooperation to address those vulnerabilities and hopefully be able to address some of the challenges that we've encountered dealing with Ramorum. Next. The other area of concern is, and I know CPP will be talking a little bit here, that dealing with ISPM 15 and some of the past intercepted in wood packaging and the like. And by the way, I must thank Customer Border Protection for all the excellent work you do across the board. It's not just one port here or there. Across the board, they do a fantastic job inspecting and intercepting pests and working together to figure out the best way to deal with these issues. Basically, the rule of thumb is that rejection. We reject most of these shipments because we don't want to take the risk of allowing movement, while especially if they find any live pests in this wood packaging material. So now, but the other part of this that we've started proactive engagement. Lately here we've dealt with a couple of key automobile manufacturer companies, major ones. They outsource products from all over the world. So we had 2 meetings, Customer Border Protection, APHIS, and others, to really engage the supply chain. And it's a global supply chain. And both companies thought that was a really good dialogue. They learned a lot from it. We see some improvement there. So we're taking this to the next step. And Matt Rhodes and team basically taking this to and make information available to all importers, not just the 1 or 2 or 3 companies that we engaged recently, but throughout the entire world. Next. So there are a couple other things, some strategic initiatives that PPQ working with you all carrying out. One, the expansion of K9. We see a lot of benefits and value of using K9 for early detection of pests and diseases, not only in the AQI arena, but also in the domestic program arena. We see a lot of good science of using the K9 in the areas of detecting agents such as psyllids, rhinoceros beetle, Mexican fruit fly, giant African snail, and many others. So our goal is to continue to learn about um, how else can we use K9. And Congress is recognizing the value of K9. In fact, Congress is providing additional funds geared towards supporting the K9 initiative. Next. Data management is another area, and we have a team, phytosanitary advanced analytics team that works with Matt Rhodes and Matt Wire. And the idea there is that this team that is made up of highly trained statisticians that basically focused on answering certain questions. What is really invading this country in terms of invasive pests and diseases? And what pathways, what commodity country combination? We want to know this in advance. So this way we can adjust our policies in PPQ and APHIS and address those issues proactively. So this team is doing a really good job in starting to really get their arms around some issues that fundamentally important to our mission of safeguarding agriculture. Next. Then also many of you have been working with Sam and Matt Royer on the domestic data improvement initiative. And I think this is really important to all of us in support of program activities and communication, data sharing, data quality, using electronic data collection. So we think that this is going to be still with us for a while, so important. And I think, you know, working together is going to make this initiative so efficient and effective in support of all our program activities. So look forward to continuing working with you on this initiative. Next. So the story here is that there are a lot of work being done, COVID or not, but I think obviously we wanted everyone to be safe, especially as we continue to be challenged with the various variants of this virus. But fact is that I truly, and I say this on behalf of all of us in PPQ, want to thank the National Plan Board immensely for the partnership, for the coordination, all the states. I think the only reason we've been able to be successful in eradicating pests and dealing with those issues is because the partnership we have with everyone at this meeting. So with that, thank you very much and look forward to addressing some of your questions later on. Thanks.